All right, get ready, because today we are taking a deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh, yeah. This one, it's a classic.
It really is. It sparked so many conversations about money. I think maybe more than almost any other book out there.
It's definitely a game changer for a lot of people.
It really is. And, Kiyosaki basically tells this story of two dads, his own father, who he calls Poor Dad,
Right.
and his friend's dad, who he calls Rich Dad.
Yeah.
And they have completely opposite ideas about money.
Totally.
And so by the time we're done with this deep dive, you'll not only grasp like the core ideas that made this book a bestseller, but you might even start looking at your own personal finances in a whole new way.
Yeah, I think a lot of people find that it really challenges their assumptions about money.
Absolutely. So let's start by breaking down these two dads. First up, Poor Dad.
Hmm.
This was Kiyosaki's own father.
Okay.
Now, he was a super educated guy, PhD, and believed in that classic path that, we're all kind of told to follow: get good grades, go to college, get a secure job.
All right, work hard. You'll be set.
Exactly, you're set for life.
Yeah.
Sound familiar?
The American dream, right.
It is, but Rich Dad flips that whole thing on its head.
He does. He kind of throws that whole conventional wisdom out the window.
Yeah. He actually dropped out of school, built businesses, focused on really understanding how money works.
That financial literacy piece is so important,
It's huge. And this is where we get to the idea of the rat race. Poor Dad, stuck in it, working for a paycheck, paying bills, taxes, eating away at everything.
It can feel like you're just running in place, never really getting ahead.
It's a pretty bleak picture when you think about it, right?
It is, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what Rich Dad was trying to teach young Kiyosaki to avoid.
So how did Rich Dad view things then?
Well, for him, it was all about breaking free from that cycle. He was all about teaching Kiyosaki that wealthy people don't spend their lives working for money. They make their money work for them.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting for me. One of the most powerful ideas in Rich Dad, Poor Dad is this distinction between assets and liabilities.
Yeah.
I remember reading this for the first time, and like my mind was blown.
It's a real aha moment for a lot of people.
It is. Because, Poor Dad saw his house as his biggest asset.
Right, that's what most of us are taught to believe.
Exactly. But Rich Dad, he saw that house as a liability. And this is where things get interesting.
Yeah, this is where it challenges conventional thinking.
Totally. So why would a house be a liability? Well, it's constantly costing you money. You've got your mortgage every month, property taxes.
Don't forget about those property taxes and maintenance. All of that adds up.
It all ends up. It's money going out of your pocket, not into it.
Exactly.
And this idea, it challenges how we think about home ownership, which is almost like a sacred cow in our society.
It is. It's something we're told is essential for the American dream.
But Rich Dad breaks it down really simply. An asset puts money in your pocket.
Mm.
A liability takes it out. Period.
It's a simple definition, but it's so powerful.
It really is. And that's what he was trying to drive home, is that you need to focus on building that asset column.
Exactly. So things that generate income, like businesses or investments, not just relying on your job as your sole source of income.
It's all about minding your own business.
Absolutely. It's not just about starting a company. It's about having your money work for you, even while you're sleeping.
Creating that financial freedom
Yeah.
so you're not always trading your time for dollars.
Right. Building a system that works for you.
That's so powerful, and that's what Rich Dad, Poor Dad is all about. He also talks a lot about financial literacy.
Understanding your income statement, balance sheet, that kind of stuff.
Exactly, because if you don't even understand what you're looking at, how can you manage it?
He tells that great story, about how as a kid he used to add his personal belongings to his financial statement to look richer.
Oh yeah, trying to impress his friends.
Right. It just shows how many people misunderstand what true wealth is. It's not about appearances. It's about cash flow. Where's it coming from? Where's it going?
So we've got Poor Dad stuck in the rat race. We've got Rich Dad teaching Kiyosaki how to escape it. But how do you actually make that leap?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is.
Well, Kiyosaki says the rich don't just work for money, they invent money.
Invent money. That sounds a little like magical almost.
It does, doesn't it? But when you break it down, it starts to make sense.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So how do they do that?
It's about developing what he calls financial intelligence.
Okay.
And that's a combination of being able to read financial statements, knowing how to invest, understanding market trends, and even the law.
So it's not just one thing, it's like a whole toolkit.
Exactly. And it allows you to see opportunities where others just see blank space.
Like that story he tells about buying a house for 2 grand and flipping it for a profit.
Oh, yeah, that one's a classic.
It's like finding money lying on the street.
Right. It just shows how powerful financial intelligence can be.
Hmm.
You can turn a seemingly impossible situation into a profitable one.
This is really making me think about how much we're not taught about money in school. It's like we're prepared for the rat race, but not given the tools to break free.
And that's one of Kiyosaki's biggest points.
That financial literacy is just as important, if not more so, than traditional education.
Absolutely. And that's something we'll definitely explore more as we continue our deep dive.
Okay, so we've got the mindset shift,
Right.
we've got understanding assets versus liabilities, and we've got developing this financial intelligence. But what about the actual steps? The rubber meets the road stuff.
Yeah, yes, the practical side of things.
Exactly.
Well, Rich Dad wasn't just about big ideas. He actually gave Kiyosaki concrete steps to break free from that rat race.
And that's what we'll dig into in part 2, right?
You got it. We'll explore the actions you can take, the advice Rich Dad gave to Kiyosaki, and how you can start applying these principles in your own life.
Sounds good. Stay tuned.
We'll be right back. All right, so we're diving back into Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Remember those concrete steps we talked about? The ones to actually escape the rat race.
Yeah, I'm ready to get into the practical stuff.
Okay, so one of the first things Rich Dad emphasized was understanding different types of income. We've got earned income, passive income, and portfolio income.
So I'm guessing earned income is like your typical paycheck, right? What you make at your job.
Exactly. It's the 9 to 5 grind. Most people rely on it, but Rich Dad was adamant that this alone wouldn't make you wealthy. The real goal is to build up those other two, passive income and portfolio income.
Okay, so passive income, that's like money you're earning without actively working, right? Like rental properties or maybe royalties from a book you wrote.
You got it. It's money that keeps coming in, even while you're off doing other things. And portfolio income comes from investments like stocks and bonds.
So the idea is to shift away from just trading your time for money and build those systems that generate money without your direct involvement.
That's the core concept. And Rich Dad really believed that corporations were the best way to build wealth, mainly because of their tax advantages.
Yeah, he talks a lot about how corporations can deduct expenses before paying taxes, which is something regular employees can't do.
Right. Huge difference there. Think about it. Employees earn money, get taxed, and then have to live on what's left. But corporations, they can use those pre-tax dollars to invest and grow, which makes a huge difference in building wealth.
Okay, so different types of income and then learning to use corporations to your advantage. Rich Dad also spends a lot of time talking about that financial intelligence we discussed earlier. He breaks it down into 4 areas: accounting, investing, understanding markets, and the law. That seems like a lot to handle.
It is a pretty big skill set, but remember, he's not saying you need to be an expert in everything. It's more about having a basic understanding of each area and knowing how they all connect.
So with accounting, is that being able to read and understand those financial statements, your income statement, balance sheet?
Precisely. You don't need to be a CPA, but you need to be able to look at those statements and understand what they're telling you.
What about investing? I always thought that was just picking stocks and hoping for the best.
Not quite. For Rich Dad, investing was the science of making money make money. It's about having a strategy, understanding different investment vehicles, and managing risk.
Okay, and understanding markets. Is that being able to see trends, spot opportunities that other people might miss?
That's a big part of it. It's about keeping your finger on the pulse of what's happening in the world and understanding how it all connects. And then understanding the law, it might seem less obvious, but it's essential for protecting your assets and knowing how to use legal structures in your favor.
So it's like combining that analytical side of accounting with the creative side of investing and then backing it all up with knowledge of markets and the law. It's a whole different approach to money.
That's what Rich Dad was all about, thinking differently, seeing things from a different perspective. Like that story he tells, buying a house for $2,000 and then selling it for a huge profit. How do you even find a house for $2,000?
That story is pretty incredible. Makes you wonder if it's really possible, though.
It really shows how he was thinking outside the box, looking for those deals no one else even considered.
He also talks about buying properties at foreclosure auctions, which sounds pretty intimidating.
It can be, but remember, it's about minimizing risk and always looking for that something for free. He's not talking about being reckless. He's talking about finding those hidden gems with the potential for more than just profit.
Like his example of Ray Kroc and securing all that real estate along with the McDonald's franchises, it's about building more than just a business. It's about long-term assets.
Exactly. It's not just about a quick return. It's about building that lasting wealth that will generate income for years to come.
But he's also realistic about the challenges,
Yeah.
right? He talks about those obstacles, like dealing with fear and all the stuff that comes with trying to forge a new path.
He's incredibly open about his own experiences, losing money, making mistakes. He says something like, if you're going to go broke, go big.
Huh. He does have that Texan attitude, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, but he's not promoting recklessness. It's more about being willing to take calculated risks, stepping outside that comfort zone and learning from your mistakes.
So it's about embracing the journey, knowing there will be bumps, but using those as opportunities to learn and grow.
Absolutely. And Rich Dad emphasizes that having the right people around you is key. You need advisors, mentors, people who are smarter than you in certain areas to help you avoid those costly pitfalls.
He even talks about the importance of criticism, saying, cynics never win, winners analyze. It's a great quote.
It is. It's about being open to new ideas, willing to learn from those who've achieved what you're aiming for.
He also has this advice about being an Indian giver. It's a phrase that maybe seems a bit odd at first, but then it makes sense.
It's not about taking advantage of people. It's about understanding leverage, using other people's resources to achieve your goals. Like borrowing money to buy an asset, then using the income from that asset to pay back the loan.
It's about those mutually beneficial opportunities and structuring deals that work for everyone involved.
Exactly. And that actually takes us to another key point in the book. The importance of teaching and giving back.
He's a big believer in sharing what you've learned, right? Not just holding on to it.
Exactly. He believes the more you give, the more you receive, creating a cycle of abundance and helping others reach their financial goals.
Like paying it forward, but with money. It's not just about the wealth itself, it's using that wealth to make an impact.
And so much of this comes down to mindset. Rich Dad really emphasizes how your thoughts and beliefs about money can influence your financial outcomes.
So like if you're always thinking, I can't afford that, you're limiting your potential.
Right. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Rich Dad pushes for that abundance mindset, believing in your ability to create wealth and see opportunities where others see roadblocks.
He also talks about paying yourself first, which doesn't mean going out and buying a new car.
No. It's about prioritizing your financial well-being, setting aside a portion of your income for investing and building assets before you pay bills or anything else.
Building that habit of investing in your future, even if it's a small amount to start.
And that takes discipline, especially in a world where we're constantly told to spend. But that's how you break free from the rat race and reach true financial freedom.
Mindset, action steps, overcoming obstacles. Rich Dad, Poor Dad covers a lot of ground. Anything else we should highlight before we move on?
One thing to remember is that Kiyosaki is a huge advocate for financial education. He believes it's never too late to learn and that there are always new opportunities out there.
He's really into those seminars and workshops, isn't he?
He is, but he also stresses finding mentors, learning from those who are already successful. It's not just traditional education, it's constantly seeking out new knowledge, staying curious, being ready to adapt.
So it's having that growth mindset, but not just about your money, about personal and professional development as well.
Exactly, and I think that's a great transition to the last part of our deep dive. Rich Dad, Poor Dad isn't just about money, it's about finding your path and your purpose. Using that financial freedom to build a fulfilling life.
Sounds like a great place to pick up. Let's dive into that in part 3. Okay, so we've really dug into Rich Dad, Poor Dad, assets, liabilities, financial intelligence, even flipping houses. But it's not all about just making money, is it?
Not at all. Kiyosaki talks about finding your path, and he doesn't mean just like kicking a career. It's bigger than that.
Yeah, it's like, what are you passionate about? What are you here to do?
Exactly, and that's where that emotional and spiritual intelligence comes in.
Okay, so he's saying our path, it's not just something we think of, it's got to be something we feel.
It's about connecting with your purpose and then living in a way that lines up with that, with your values.
It's so easy to get caught in that rat race, though.
Yeah.
Chasing promotions, bigger paychecks,
And losing sight of what matters.
Exactly. And Kiyosaki, he's really honest about that in the book.
Yeah.
He talks about how even after he's built businesses, made millions, he still felt like something was missing.
It's like there's a void you can't fill with just money.
So you can escape that one rat race, but end up in a whole new one.
Absolutely. And for him, the answer was finding his purpose. He realized true fulfillment, it comes from pursuing the things you're passionate about, using your talents to make a positive impact.
It's like money can't buy happiness, but maybe it can buy the freedom to pursue it.
I like that. And Rich Dad, he's big on personal development too,
Hmm.
always learning and growing, not just about finances, but emotionally and spiritually as well.
He talks about pushing yourself, stepping out of that comfort zone, and being open to new experiences.
He loves those seminars and workshops, anything that helps you grow personally and spiritually.
It's about becoming a lifelong learner, but in a broader sense.
Expanding your horizons, being willing to evolve as a person.
And all this, it ties back into taking action.
Oh yeah, you can't just read about it, you gotta do it.
Kiyosaki's all about making offers, negotiating, even if you fail sometimes.
He says something like, ready, fire, aim.
Just go for it.
Exactly. Learn as you go. Even mistakes, they become lessons that help you reach your goals.
And then there's the whole giving back piece.
Well, that's huge for him.
Hmm.
Share your knowledge, resources, your success.
Creating that cycle of abundance.
It's about recognizing that we're all connected. Helping others helps us too.
So we've explored Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the key ideas, the controversies, even his personal journey.
What does it all mean for our listeners, right?
Exactly. What are they walking away with?
Well, first off, it's a reminder that financial freedom is possible.
It's not some fantasy, it's within reach.
But it takes a shift in mindset
Remember, your house isn't always an asset.
and the power of building up your own asset column.
Assets versus liabilities, that's key. Something that puts money in your pocket, not out of it.
It seems simple, but it can change everything.
So, become financially literate. Understand how money works. Break free from that rat race.
Take control of your finances, build a secure future, and use that freedom to create a life you love.
If this resonated with you, definitely explore the book more.
There are other resources too, the cash flow game, his other books and seminars.
It's about continuous learning and growth.
And remember, financial freedom, it's not just about the money.
It's about time, resources, pursuing your passions,
Spending time with loved ones, making a difference.
living a life true to your values and purpose.
Start thinking like Rich Dad. Challenge those old beliefs. Take control of your financial destiny.
And that wraps up our deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Hope you found it insightful.
Maybe even life-changing.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep building a life you truly love.